take it back. Disruptarian mind, time to bring it back. They'll take hard, American fight, but it won't crime powers tonight. We're scared of no lies.
So it is no secret that I have always favored the Proud Boys. I mean, I don't just give them carte blanche on everything they do. If they're out of line, if there's one of them that, joins up and pretends to be a part of the clique, then he starts violence or hateful speech or whatever, then I don't support all of that, of course. But, by and large, I've always thought the Proud Boys did a good job maintaining order during the speeches and political events of conservatives, like when they would try to burn down Berkeley, UC Berkeley, when I believe it was Ben Shapiro speaking, and Black Bloc came and burned down the school, or they beat the hell out of people at a, it wasn't Ron Paul, it was another political speaker. And of course, Donald Trump, anything he did, they would come and they would beat up the Trump protesters, Black Bloc, Antifa, whatever you want to call them. Now there's something I found called Transphia, and it's another terrorist cell that are committing serial killings. Andy Ngo, who is a gay conservative reporter, who was beat almost to death by Antifa for simply being conservative, even though he's gay, he supports the LGBT thing, he's, I believe he's married to a gay man as well, if I remember correctly, but he came out as gay in the mid 2010s and has a Vietnamese family. He came out to them in like 2014 as gay. And just because he was reporting with a conservative point of view on the protest, like Antifa, they beat the hell out of him, almost killed the guy. I mean, his eye was like hanging out of his head. They were horrible to this guy. He was just a little guy. He was just reporting. He wasn't causing any violence. But anyway, now we see what's going on. What is today, the 20th of March? What's going on in the US with Tesla dealerships, with Democratic leaders and influencers calling for violence. And then, of course, their minions are going out and setting fires to all these Tesla dealerships. I think they're correct in looking for where the money comes from to fund these people, to encourage them to commit felonies, possibly even domestic terrorist crimes against Tesla owners and Tesla dealerships, and of course the Tesla company. But first, I just wanted to play this showing the Democrats calling for all their violence. I can't remember when this was posted. This is an older video, but it is, this is 4 years ago. But this is basically when Trump was running the last time when he was president. And this is the Dems calling for violence then.
Anyway, wished, desired, or encouraged lawless or violent behavior is a preposterous and monstrous lie. In fact, the first two messages the president sent via Twitter once the incursion of the Capitol began were, "Stay peaceful and no violence, because we are the party of law and order." The gathering on January 6th was supposed to be a peaceful event. Make no mistake about that. And the overwhelming majority of those in attendance remained peaceful. As everyone knows, the president had spoken at hundreds of large rallies across the country over the past 5 years. There had never been any mob-like or riotous behaviors, and in fact, a significant portion of each event was devoted to celebrating the rule of law, protecting our Constitution, and honoring the men and women of law enforcement. Contrast the president's repeated condemnations of violence with the rhetoric from his opponents.
I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters.
The vast majority of the protests have been peaceful.
Republicans stand for law and order, and we stand for justice.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
My administration will always stand against violence, mayhem, and disorder.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
I stand with the heroes of law enforcement.
And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
We will never defund our police. Together, we will ensure that America is a nation of law and order.
We were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
But I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
Feel like punching him.
We just want law and order. Everybody wants that. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. We want law and order. We have to have law and order.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
We believe in safe streets, secure communities, and we believe in law and order.
So anyway, I would say that is a big part of the reason we see this now, where Trump's approval amongst our country as a whole is 49%, amongst Democrats only 8%, amongst Republicans 92%, amongst independents 38%, but you get down to 7 in 10 are concerned that use of executive actions is permanently altering the system of checks and balances. Trump 2025, 68% say yes. In 2014, 68% said the same thing about Obama's executive orders. Now, you get down to the job rating approval of comparing the Democrats and the Republicans. So the Democrats' approval rating currently is 30%. Their disapproval rating is 66%. Trump's, of course, his approval rating is 49%. Congressional Republicans are at 55%. 43% approval rating, 55% disapproval. That's amongst all voters. But compared to the congressional Democrats at 30%, Democrats aren't doing well. And I think it has a lot to do with this violence and this disorder. If you look at all this black bloc stuff, this Antifa, and all the violence that they've caused over the years, this is why I like the Proud Boys, because they were a counterbalance to what, the Nazis basically used, the brown shirts back in, the Nazi days and the National Socialist German Workers' Party. In order to create disrest and to suppress their opponents, they would use these thugs, these street thugs, similar to Black Bloc or Antifa, to go out and harass people. Well, the Proud Boys stepped up and pushed back on that, and that's why I like them. But then you look at this. So Andy Ngo, who reported on this, I was talking about him, who they almost beat to death, is a gay man, but he's a conservative reporter. And I really like him. Yeah, see, Andy Ngo is gay and considers himself to be politically center-right. He's from Portland. The Oregonian reported Andy Ngo relocated to London, citing concerns for his personal safety. You can read up about Andy Ngo, but good guy, good reporter, very factual. And you got to see what's now going on here. Oh yeah, see, this is where they beat him. Antifa's assault on journalists, Andy Ngo explained. Conservative writer Andy Ngo roughed up in Portland. But his eye, it was messed up. I mean, they beat the hell out of the guy and harassed him at his house for a long time. Anyway, he's now reporting on this trans terrorist cell, which is interesting. This whole trans thing has gotten so violent and so pervasive and overwhelming in our country. And I think a lot of this has to do with the massive fraud in things like USAID and other, large corporate donations that go to LGBT causes that are fueling this fire and rewarding people for this lifestyle by the billions, hundreds of billions. Giving money for gay operas, for gay comic books, for all the LGBT this, trans that, whatever, and billions of dollars of it are going towards these crazy causes. And I think that's what's fueled this surge, which obviously is artificial all of a sudden, but is fueled because of this waste, fraud, and abuse that Doge is finding. Anyway, this is what Andy is reporting on now.
Tragic story of the Border Patrol agent David Malin, who was shot and killed during a traffic stop in northern Vermont on Inauguration Day. Well, here's the new disturbing details that deserve probably some airtime. Turns out that the mysterious duo suspected in the killing were not only, they were a trans duo with alleged ties to a trans terror cell involved in 3 other homicides, but one was here illegally, who overstayed their visa. The man who broke this story, senior editor for the Post Millennial and author of Unmasked: Inside Antifa's Radical Plan to Destroy Democracy, Andy Ngo. Andy, I was reading everything on this. So there is a trans terror cell in America?
So the story sounds almost too shocking and sensational to be true, but the facts as I reported out on the surface are as shocking as they appear. So most people kind of didn't hear about this report because of all the inauguration and first week events related to the second term of President Trump. And then some focus had been on the immigration status of the German man who was deceased in the shooting. And it's actually unclear right now with his visa, if he overstayed on his visa, but that's not the point. As I started digging into the social media accounts of the 2 who are alleged to be involved in this deadly encounter with the Border Patrol, I found that 1, they identified as transgender, and 2, I interviewed a trans woman in California who was friends with the deceased German man who identified as a woman. And it led me, through looking at their communications, that the deceased man had communicated at one point with alleged members of this trans group in California, whose members are suspected of and or accused of being involved in multiple prior homicides, 3, and the killing of the border officer on Inauguration Day brings the body count to 4.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, this is so crazy. So it's like I looked a little bit into the things you sent me, but it appears to be like they're the mode that they're going for is just like a cultist vigilante group that just doesn't want to apply to our laws. Like somebody was killed over collecting rent because they felt that they call themselves the Zizians. Okay, they just don't want to live by our laws, and they're bound together by this trans identity.
So if you look at the court filings from federal prosecutors in Vermont, you'll learn that they have been surveilling the trans duo who were in Vermont for days leading up to that fatal encounter. This was not just somebody who's acted suspiciously on the day of and was pulled over. No, they were surveilled for nearly a week. And the stuff that law enforcement found, according to court documents, they had a ballistic helmet, 2 firearms, face respirators, a dozen electronic devices, really odd stuff, tactical equipment. Mm-hmm. And in yesterday's court filing from the prosecutor, the big revelation is that the firearms that were allegedly used in this fatal encounter is owned by a person of interest in the homicide investigations of the 3 other people who were killed. 3 other people are elderly, by the way. Murders going back to early 2023.
Yeah, like Andy, I have followed your work for years, and you've never gotten it wrong. So when I heard about this, I was like, why is this not being reported anywhere else?
If you look at all the headlines about this, let's just focus on the border officer who was killed and the Seattle woman who's currently in custody in Vermont. None of the reporting has mentioned anything about the trans, because I think there's another agenda at play in liberal media. But I verified all this information very carefully. There's a long social media footprint. I interviewed people who knew at least one of the individuals who were involved, and these were trans militant activists with a history of posts suggesting far left political views as well.
Yeah, well, I would encourage everybody to go follow you on your Twitter account and stay up on this, because I'm sure there's going to be another bomb to drop here. Andy Ngo, appreciate it very much.
Take it back, disruptarian mind, time to break the back. They'll take hard, American fight, but it won't find us tonight. Pop, we're scared of no lies. Disrupt the game, we gon' rise. virus, clearly infection, disruptarian truth. This is the correction. They're pushing lies, but we stand tall. Freedom in our veins, we break through it all. Feminism whacked in the age of reason. No more games, yeah, this is our season. We ain't slaves to the system, we break chains. Living for purpose, no chasing the fame. They're trying to rewrite, but we burn it down. Disruptarian flow, we run this town. Pop, pop the boat, watch them fall. We ain't afraid to rise, we gon' brawl. Yeah, pop, pop the woke, my virus, let it burn. Snuff it out, now it's our turn. Feminism gets whacked in this age of freedom. We fight for truth, it's time to lead them. When you find your heart, you gon' live free. And the woke mind virus for you and for me. They preach hate, but we living with love. A fist in the sky, no bowing and no glove. Cancel our truth, but we speak it raw. Woke can't snuff like a cold law. Celtic roots, disruptarian steel. Freedom's in the blood, yeah, this is real. We're taking back minds, one by one. Reclaim the light, now here comes the sun. This ain't no trend, this a revolution. Disrupt the chains, it's our evolution. Pop, pop, shots fired at the lies. Free thinkers rise, now we fly. Pop, pop, the woke mind virus, let it burn. Snuff it out, now it's our turn. Feminism gets whacked in this age of freedom. We fight for truth, it's time to lead them. When you find your heart, you gon' live free. And the woke mind virus for you and for me. Wake up, no more sleep, no more sheep. Disruptarian crew, promises we keep. Truth is the weapon, reload it fast. Pop the woke virus, blast from the past. Snuff the woke mind virus, taking control. Freedom in our veins, it's the rise of the soul. Pop, pop, we murder the lies in the night. Celtic American standing for what's right. When you find your heart, that's when you're free. And the woke mind virus for you and for me. Pop, pop, the